What is up, good people? I am going to be doing a quick, rapid fire pros and no cons review of the movie Venom. As you can see, I'm wearing my 3D cinema glasses, so it shows that I dress for every occasion. Let's get into it. I'm going to try to minimize spoilers, but I'll definitely just throw it out moving forward, just in case I slip and say something that, that is of a spoiling quality. Anyway, the first shot of the movie is the Life Foundation, which is like, I guess you could say, like the company owned by the main protagonist, or not protagonist, but the main baddie of the film. And it was really well shot. I really liked the way the movie was shot. It was really good. The CG, you know what? I'm already falling into the trap of thinking about the cons, because for me there are a lot of little things. But anyway, I'm gonna try to avoid falling into that bamboo trap during this review and stay just completely positive. So the movie was well shot. The shuttlecraft from the Life Foundation looked really good. It even had the futuristic look of propulsion, that is the rail system. If you look it up on YouTube, you look up the rail propulsion system, it really looks super cool, super futuristic, and it's technology that we already have. It just NASA doesn't really use the rail system, so I don't know why. That's a complete side note. Second thing, off the top of my head, I did like the way Tom Hardy presented himself for the most part. There were several different scenes where his reactions seemed logical, and I really liked his style. I liked his flow. He kind of had like not a devil may care attitude, but he seemed really comfortable. The character seemed really comfortable with himself. He seemed really comfortable with his life. They were trying to give him an everyman quality, and it can be argued whether he did or didn't do that. But I think he did a really good job overall. He rides a motorcycle instead of a car, instead of driving a car, and I like that. I really like the sort of like, hey, I'm doing my own thing. That was another sort of hallmark I saw. That what was it? Tom Hardy. I'm now getting the two actors mixed up, because we got like Tom Hardy and we got Tom Holland, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm pretty sure Tom Hardy is the man that played Venom, who also played in all of those other really great movies. He was in Inception. On a side note, I really liked him in Inception. He was really cool, very suave, a very suave guy. So okay, number 3, I really liked the interaction between Eddie Brock and the Venom character, and then later on I found out that Tom Hardy actually did the voice acting for the Venom character, which was really cool, because it seemed to bring out a sort of it brought out a little bit more of his acting range. We were able to peer a little further into Tom Hardy's acting range of the duality of the soul and that kind of stuff, if you want to go down that rabbit hole. But it was a really, really good interaction. It was really awesome watching him play off that character who he voiced, which was great, which also means that the writers at least put forth an effort to write him some decent lines, decent dialogue that would have, I guess you could say, is stretching it a bit, saying logical interaction, because you really can't say, this movie accurately portrayed a man with an alien symbiote glommed onto him and their interaction. Oh, they did that so well. That would that would just be just noodle doodle to even propose. But I guess you could say that it exists, at least in the universe of cinema, and it was done very well, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Number 4. For the most part, the fight sequences were very good. Unfortunately, the main fight sequence was in the trailer, and I would end up trying to skip past it because I did not want to see any trailers for the movie, because I knew it was gonna taint my view, or my viewing experience. I wanted to go into the movie as unsullied as possible. Game of Thrones reference. So that's kind of a pitfall in and of itself. If you're watching anything on YouTube, you're gonna see at least a blurb of a trailer, and they put so much in the trailers to begin with. But still, the combat for the most part, in several different parts of the sequences, really got visceral, where you started to really feel the brutality and the impact of this alien creature just having little regard for human life, because, you know, it's not human, and it's looking at these, rightfully looking at these SWAT team people shooting at him as like, hey, you know, you're in my way, I've got an objective, you know, you're shooting at me, so I'm gonna go full throttle, like, you know, like an MMA guy going against a woo Aikido master, which was which, on a side note, oh man, that MMA guy demolished that old dude. I really felt bad for him. On a side note, that's the kind of like visceral brutality where it's like, hey, no holds bar, okay? All right, now number 5. I would have to also praise, for the most part, the CG with Venom. I really like the way they designed the tongue. If you watch that in 4K, you really can see all of the different textures, and everything is rendered really properly, in my opinion. I especially like the way the teeth overlap, and each time that the Venom symbiote, I guess you could call it the mask, had unveiled or enveloped Eddie's face, that the teeth were, you know, in the same sort of formation, but they would crowd it differently, if that makes any sense, if you can kind of see that in your head. Okay. I think that's it for the CG. All right, number 6. Admittedly, I don't know if this is a simple nod or an Easter egg, but the two things, whichever category these fit into, I really like the fact that J. Jonah Jameson's son was on the shuttlecraft, just like in the comic books, just like in the glorious animated series. Let's see, the other nod, I feel it was a nod, not necessarily an Easter egg, was the fact that Brock originally came from New York. They kind of hand-fisted that whole aspect. It was sort of a throwaway line, but I just like the fact that they acknowledged it slightly. Oh, he came from New York, and now he's on to bigger and better things, and he's like, you know, this top flight, you know, news reporter. He's not a simple news reporter. He's an investigative journalist. So sorry, I don't know why that's so difficult for me to say, but yeah, okay. I think we're up to number 7. So number 7. On second thought, this will be number 7 and 8, and we'll just leave it there. So this is definitely a spoiler. At the end of the movie, the ending, I guess I want to say the post-credits teaser was of Carnage, or I guess you could say, well, they don't show the Carnage symbiote in all actuality. It was Cletus Cassidy who will later become the host for the Carnage symbiote, a bonding process in the comic books and in the show that was so deep and so irrevocable that they referred to themselves not as we, but as I. And Woody Harrelson did a serviceable job. I mean, you really can't, in my opinion, screw that up. You really, you know, he's sitting in a cell, and he's, you know, oh, I've got red hair, and I'm Woody Harrelson, I'm Carnage, or I'm Cletus Cassidy. So it was kind of hard to mess up. We'll have to see how Woody Harrelson pans out. I may have picked somebody else, but I kind of felt like they picked Woody Harrelson just because he's bringing a little bit, he's bringing a little bit of post-credit star power, I felt. Alright, so number 8 is the fact that the actor who played Bellic in the show Prison Break, because he was a prison guard in the show Prison Break, the character's name was, as I just mentioned, Bellic, and seeing him in that really, like, I really like that. I was a little delighted. I was like, hey, you know, I go over to my friend, I'm like, hey, it's Bellic from Prison Break. You know, that was really good, and we both recognized him straight away. And I really wish there was a little bit more of that, you know, hopefully never a saturation, because it seems like if there's any kind of Hollywood gimmick, they just double down on it to the point where you wished it never happened in the first place. So that's my review of Venom. That's my light review. All pros, no cons, minimal spoilers. And please look forward to my next one, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Epiphanies, aka Funny Mgtow, out.